Okay, we'll get started with the tutorial for drum major audition. If you're interested in trying out for drum major, that's awesome, good for you. There's a few things that you'll want to do. And the first thing is to notify me that you are intending on auditioning. So if you haven't done that, I would pause this video right now, send me an email saying, Mr. Schofield, I would love to audition for drum major, okay? And then the other thing is to get prepared. And that's what this video is designed to help you do. So let's get started. The role of the drum major, in addition to being a wonderful student leader, is to visibly represent the tempo to the student musicians on the field and in a parade setting, and also in the stands for pep band. So here's some good ways to do that. The first thing is to talk about posture. A drum major has to have good posture if they're going to be effective. So an old conducting teacher of mine once told me, be a tree and hug a tree. Okay, so you kind of stand up nice and tall with your chin elevated, and you act like you're walking up to a giant tree and you're giving it a big hug. Okay, and then simply turn your hands this way. And that's about the drum major posture that you want to have when conducting. So go ahead and go to attention with your feet together and your chin slightly elevated, and then simply bring your arms up to that position. And that's a good starting position for conducting. In our band, we employ more of a core style of a drum major, so it's a lot less, there's a lot less rules to follow. You can conduct with your feet slightly apart. You can conduct with them with the feet together. It's kind of a personal choice, honestly, and sometimes representative of what the music is doing. Sometimes it's nice to conduct with the feet apart if it's the ballad and it's soft, and if it's the end of the closer and it's fast and it's loud, then the feet can be apart. Okay, but you'll see some old time videos of drum majors where they're conducting and they're marking time at the same time. Those rules still exist, but we don't really employ that typical style of drum major. It's a little bit more of a core style. So you might see a discrepancy there if you're doing some YouTube research. All right, so we'll get into conducting the beats. Okay, so if you remember in grade school, you have those big rubber bouncy balls that you play with on the playground. It's a lot like that, okay? Just kind of pretend that you're bouncing that ball, all right? And then you're gonna be producing what's called an ictus. And an ictus is just a little flick that represents where the beat is, okay? If we conduct without an ictus, it would be extremely difficult for any musician to know how fast or slow to play. It's impossible. So the ictus is where the beat actually is, okay? And this is about 92 beats a minute, all right? To conduct a 4 pattern, beat 1 is down, beat 2 is to your left, beat 3 is to your right, and beat 4 is up. You'll notice if I conduct a 4 pattern that the ictus is relatively in the same place. It's kind of in this little area here. If I were to do this, then all of a sudden the ictus is moving around with the beat pattern, and then the musician's eyes are going to have to look around and find where the pulse is, and that's definitely not what we want. So we want the ictus to remain kind of centralized while the beat pattern travels around that, okay? And then, of course, when we're on the field, we want to be as visible as possible, so we mirror the ictus with the left hand, okay? And it's just an inversion of what the right hand is doing. So beat 2 is to your right, and beat 3 is to your left, and beat 4 is still up. So let's just try some basic conducting in 4. It's 92 beats a minute. So here we go. We'll do a typical count off, which is going to be 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. We want to make sure that our head is relatively stationary, okay? And that our shoulders are relaxed. Something to consider also is to make sure that your ictus is stopping like it's on a plane, like it's on a table, and it's not going forward, okay? We want to avoid looking like this. We definitely do not want to do that, okay? Keep the ictus nice and centralized like it's bouncing off of a table. And that's our 4 pattern. And you can do that all day long at a variety of tempos. All right, a 2 pattern, there is a 2/4 bar in the Audition. A 2 pattern, 1 is down and slightly to your right, and 2 is up. So a 2 pattern would simply look like this. And that's a 2 pattern mirrored. Coming from a 4 pattern to a 2 pattern, you would simply go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1. Let's try that together again. Ready? And 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1. There are 2 tempo changes in the Audition. The beginning of the Audition starts at 60 beats a minute, and then it changes to about 75 throughout the introduction of the opener, and then it switches to 152 beats a minute at the end of the first impact. So you'll definitely want to practice those tempos separately by themselves, get used to what they feel like, and get really good at knowing that tempo so that when the tempo change happens, it's easy for you to go right into that. Okay, there is a count off at the beginning of the Audition recording, and it's at 60 beats a minute. So let's talk about how to get that count off to happen with your Audition. This is at 63. I'm kind of working with a weird metronome right now that doesn't seem to want to go to 60. You're going to get 8 counts for free at the beginning of the Audition. You're going to let the first 4 go by and then simply conduct a 4 pattern before the first measure. So it's going to look like this for your Audition. So 1, 2, 3, 4, then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the music will start. That's about it. That's how we would start that. It's very typical whenever a new section is going to start playing that the beat preceding their entrance is conducted a little bit larger, sort of to cue them. So we think 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, that's not required as part of the Audition, but it will score more points, especially if it doesn't lose tempo. All right, so if you have any questions along the way, feel free to let me know, and good luck on the Audition. I'm looking forward to watching them.